Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with part 24 of our Age of Apocalypse series. This is Factor X number 3. And this is where things start to get explosive. Because, we learn some things about Cyclops and we get some really cool backstory. So let's dive into this. The print date on this was May 1995. And we open up on this grizzly that's been genetically created by Hank McCoy, just ripping through these infinites. And this long, kind of this long thing talking about how ferocious this thing has become created, and they're wondering if the Dark Beast has sort of crossed a line in a sense. Now, it may feel a little wordy, but it's interesting because as we saw in the last issue where Cyclops helped Lorna Dane escape with Val Cooper, and Havoc was the one that caught on to it. But before we get into any of this, this is called Open Wounds. John Francis Moore writer, Steve Epting with Terry Dodson doing the penciling, Al Mingram inker, Starkings and Comicraft lettering, Glynis Oliver colorist, Kelly Corvez editor, and Bob Harris chief. So all-star cast on this book. And I know it's kind of like wow, but you can kind of see that Cyclops and Havoc are kind of bickering back and forth, and he's just like, you're not the one to talk about responsibilities, Scott. You were expected back 2 hours ago. You were typically like unreachable is what that word means, incommunicado, I believe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And so you can kind of start to see that Havoc is starting to poke at Scott. He's like, Jean Paul and Jeannie Marie are both comatose and unable to name their assailant. Lucky for you, eh, Scott? What do you mean by? And he says, look out. And that's where we get the grizzly that we opened up with. And I don't know if this is supposed to be not Sasquatch. I'm not sure who I'm trying to bring out in my brain here. Not enough coffee today. But nonetheless, I love how we start to see Cyclops' power here, where he sees the grizzly coming at them. But check this out. He goes, I have a clear shot. So why am I hesitating? Maybe I'm tired of all the death around me. Or maybe I just feel sorry for the dumb brute. But nonetheless, with that fight or flight response, beautiful page right here of him opening up on the grizzly. He goes, careful, Scott. Remember what Sinister always told you. A conscience will get you killed. So you can just see the complete 180 of what Charles Xavier taught our 616 Scott compared to this, what is this, Earth 298, I think? I forget. But nonetheless, gorgeous artwork there. And so Scott, he's having this change of heart where he's just like, I was proud to be a soldier of the Ascension. I believed in the superiority of Homo sapiens superior. But now I see no strength in this institutionalized cruelty, no virtue in the oppression of the weak and infirm. I've risked the few prisoners who might make it north, but there are so many. And you start to see the pain and the years of, what is it called? Guilt on his face. And he starts to remind me of a Oscar Schindler here. If you guys have never seen Schindler's List, definitely check it out. It's heart-wrenching. There's a scene where towards the end where Schindler looks at all of the Jews that he was able to save, and he's like, this ring could have bought me another, and this could have got me another. And it starts to wash over him as much as he thought he could do, even though he did as much as he possibly could for the Jewish community. So that's kind of the feeling I get with Scott. And I'm wondering if that's kind of what they were kind of towing for. Now, after all that, enter Wagon. Here's Jean Grey. And as you guys remember at the end of, Weapon X number 2, where she leaves Logan, where he's saying, I can't let you leave, Red. I can't let you go back to the States to warn them about what's coming. Then you'll have to kill me, Logan. She goes, my sweet and fierce Logan, I never wanted to leave you, but you're the one who taught me to trust my instincts. And what kind of prompted her to want to leave Logan is he got on board with the Human High Council about wanting to nuke North America. Well, Jean does not see that that's the way to go. She needs to warn everyone and save as many as she can, as where Logan has that militaristic soldier mind where there's a threat and there's acceptable casualties, and that's what makes both their relationship and dynamic interesting. So one thing I wish that they would have explained is there's this black tower where they have the collected psychic brains that are supposed to keep the pins calm. I'd like to know whose brains those are. You know what I mean? That'd be really an interesting thing to poke at, saying, oh, is this supposed to be Emma or da-da-da-da-da? Which I don't understand why Emma Frost is on the Human High Council. Maybe she just never revealed her power. I just thought that was kind of interesting. In the same way, is it Betsy Braddock? Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms that I just really don't want to get into. Now, she starts to think back to Sinister, and we see where he actually gave them the plans about what Apocalypse was doing. He's like, I don't care what you think of my motives, but understand this. I have no desire to see Apocalypse initiate a world war. Neither humans nor mutants will survive. Because at that point, he can't go on to do his machinations of eugenics, you know what I mean? So there's a wolf that goes to attack her. She is able to put it down, and she goes, interesting. Buried beneath this wolf's animal psyche is a decidedly human, but before she can finish her thought, she's taken out by Havoc. And I'm wondering, right here with this wolf, with the human psyche and sense, I'm wondering if that's supposed to be Rain Sinclair or not. They don't really say what happened to her, and so I'm just wondering if that's like a little cameo. It doesn't say anything online, so if you guys know, let me know down in the comments. Now, Havoc's excited to have Jean because he's ready to out his brother. But before we can even get any more down that plot, we cut to heaven, and we see Scarlet here, and she's actually sitting there in the mirror. She goes, oh, this is not good. I barely made it through my last encore. At least the nausea is not as bad as this morning. Dear God, please don't let this mean what I think it does. And so you kind of see them have some witty back and forth with Angel. But then the Bedlam brothers come and they say, we're here officially, Warren. We have evidence that Scarlet's working with the Human High Council, which is explained in earlier issues. And she's like, well, how do you know this? Do you have proof? And they come to tell her that the Shadow King got a hold of Karma, which we went over, I think it was at the end of Excalibur. I can't remember. Let me know it down in the comments. But she bolts. And the Bedlam brothers put her down with the psychic scrambler. And you just see the pain and distress because now she knows that she's going to be a mother in the midst of all this hellscape. And she goes, Warren, help me. Please don't turn your back on me. And then I like how the art team just kind of makes him silhouette, stoic, emotionless. And all he says is, so tell me, does Alex know yet? Because humans, again, kind of like Schindler's List, where Jews weren't allowed to interact with any other part of the human race. Same here, where mutants aren't supposed to fraternize with humans. And yeah, so, and we can see in this universe that Havoc is very mentally unstable. And so Havoc starts to gloat that he's got a hold of Jean Grey again, and you see Scott saying, why did she come back? And I love this panel, the way it's set up, just horrific, because this is the Beast's torture chamber, or as he calls it, his lab. And it's saying that, you know, Scott was unprepared for this, unprepared for the senses, really in shock. He feels at finding this woman so close and so real. This woman whose image has haunted him since their first encounter. Now, this next panel, or pages, are my favorite, because this actually goes back, as I was saying in the early, all the way up since we've been doing Chronicles, how I wish they would have shown more of how Cyclops and Wolverine fought as Logan went to save Jean. This book, this issue 3, is the only type of glance into the past. It says 3 years ago, in a pitched battle with Magneto's X-Men, he prevented her escape with the rest of the rebel mutants, destroying the second and third level processing bays before bringing her down. So we see how Cyclops got Jean, and we kind of, without Scott seeing it, we see how Nate Gray was born, because he's talking about how Jean was treated as an alpha male and how Sinister was thankful to have her, DNA blueprint. And it says, there was something about her spirit and dedication to her past life that caused Scott to find himself inescapably drawn to the rebel. In time, it became something more. And Scott Summers found himself contemplating the unthinkable, returning Jean Grey, the woman who'd come to mean so much to him, to her friends. It all would have gone as planned if her feral teammate Wolverine hadn't broken rank with Magneto to return to the pins in order to free the woman he loved. So here we see the fight. I like the little editor snafu where they called him Wolverine instead of Weapon X, so that was kind of funny. But I'm thankful that we at least finally get a page into the past of how all this happened and the animosity between them. And so Havoc wants Scott to prove his allegiance by killing Jean, and he goes, no. So here, Havoc tries to take over the EMS forces, so poor Cyclops gets taken down. But for not too long, I don't want to give away everything that leads up to this panel, but just seeing Dark Beast getting smacked like that just brings a smile to my face because he's such a creep in this universe. And get past the ad. And so here, he's like, your willingness to stand up to Apocalypse made me wonder why I followed him blindly. This place began to make less and less sense after that. So really interesting read, guys. X Factor number 3 really starts to bring everything to a boiling point, and I like that we kind of start to see how Scott finally wants to break ranks, and we start to see a glimpse of the Cyclops that we all know and love. So if you guys have enjoyed this book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel. We love to hear your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.